So for 11 days in a row, the little boats did not cross the English Channel, and it led to many people, particularly conservative commentators on radio, television, and in the newspaper saying, look, it's happened. Rwanda has worked. It's acted as a deterrent. Now, I was shaking my head at this thinking, these guys don't get it. For those 11 days, a persistent northeasterly wind blew in the English Channel. Now, it's just over 2 years since I first went out into the English Channel to try and wake people up to the fact that there was a big sign, effectively, on the White Cliffs of Dover saying, everybody is welcome, nobody will be sent back. So I've tried throughout those 2 years to bring people with me on this journey to understand the scale and magnitude of what is going on. So that's why I went back to sea first thing Monday morning to show people, no, Rwanda at the moment is having no effect whatsoever. Do they know about it in the camps? You bet your life they do. One of the reasons is that Care for Calais, the refugee, as they call themselves, charity, have now launched a legal challenge against Priti Patel. So you can be sure in the camps, they're all being told, don't worry, this will go nowhere. And it was last week when pushback, remember that? The idea was they were going to turn the migrant boats back and force them back to the French shore. That had a huge amount of publicity when it was first announced. Last week, that plan was dropped. So, you know, if I was sitting in a migrant camp in Dunkirk, I'd be thinking nothing has actually changed. And what do we have on Sunday and Monday? 550 people crossing the English Channel. And believe me, unless Rwanda is implemented very, very quickly, this government, in the opinion polls, is going to be completely overwhelmed by this crisis. There are 1 million people now on the social housing waiting list. Think 550 more bedrooms have to be found just over the course of the last couple of days. And as I speak, there are more operations going on in the English Channel. We're headed for 100,000 this year. Already the hotel bills are £5 million a day, let alone the cost of yesterday. There were RAF, planes, drones, Royal Navy, Border Force, RNLI. I hate to think what the daily operations in the Channel cost. The whole thing is out of control. Now, what I saw yesterday proved to me, though, that I do not believe the vast majority of these people are refugees in any genuine, sensible definition. What did we see yesterday? We saw, picked up on the screen, literally just under Cap Finisterre on the French coast, and I'm talking hundreds of yards off the coast. We picked up a French naval vessel called Fomento. Looking on the screen, it was traveling at 3.9 knots. That's not very quick. That's about the speed with an outboard motor one of the migrant boats goes. So we knew another escort was on the way. Remember, I exposed the French naval escorts 2 years ago. Another French naval escort was on the way. We waited patiently for a couple of hours for that boat to get to the line where it was coming in to British waters. It was escorted literally all the way. I mean, can you imagine if you're a trafficker? You can say to people getting on the boats, don't worry, you'll be very safe. The French Navy will see you all the way across the channel and then you'll get picked up. When the boat crossed into English waters, we were right there next to it. And what was interesting was this was unlike the other boats. Most boats now are built for one journey only. They take between 35 and 40 people. They are very weak, very flimsy, dangerous construction. And that's why one sunk last year with a loss of 27 lives. And unless things change, there'll be a lot more lives lost this year. No, this was a smaller, more compact, high quality vessel with a good outboard engine on, 20 people on board. There was a woman on board who appeared to be highly educated, spoke perfect English, albeit with a French accent. I couldn't tell you for certain where they came from. I would think they were probably Kurdish, but I don't know for certain. She shouted to us, call the police, call the police. We said, yeah, we're going to let the authorities know. We did. Coast Guard asked us to stay with the vessel because all the other assets were being used, picking people up in the channel. So we stayed with it. She then went onto her mobile phone. She was talking on it for a long, long time. She seemed to be describing us and the boat we were on to somebody. I can't prove that phone call was made to people in England, but I do know there are people in England aiding and abetting and helping this trade, benefiting in many cases financially from this trade. Nonetheless, after about 10 or 15 minutes, we saw that Hurricane, ex-wind farm boat, now a border force boat, was on its way, but it was some distance on the horizon, a few miles away. What was clear, this migrant boat, they knew exactly where they were. They knew exactly what they were doing. There was an expert on the tiller. They were having no problems at all. And way before Border Force arrived, they started depositing objects from the boat in the sea. Some of the objects, I couldn't determine what they were. What I can tell you is I witnessed 3 mobile phones. I think they were iPhones, can't tell from the distance, but certainly mobile phones, 3 of them chucked in the sea. Now, of course, they know as soon as they get to Dover, one of the first things your taxes generously pay for is they will all get brand new mobile phones. But I ask you this question. If you were a genuine refugee, why would you throw away your mobile phone? What would you have to hide? Surely you'd want people to know who you were and your real identity. What I saw yesterday exposes to me the whole thing is simply a racket, a huge criminal racket. There may well be some people amongst that number that genuinely would count as refugees, but you know what? Look how generous we're being to people from Hong Kong, to people from Afghanistan, and once we get the red tape sorted out, to people from Ukraine as well. And they come here, they don't hide their identities, they don't deliberately destroy their documents and throw away their phones. That to me was one of the worst examples I've seen in the channel that exposes this whole thing. If Rwanda is going to happen, it better happen very, very fast. And if Care for Calais were to win their challenge in the courts against Priti Patel, then they simply have got to get rid of the Human Rights Act, get rid of the European Convention on Human Rights. Boris Johnson made some mealy-mouthed words the other day when he spoke on this subject about the possibility of future legislative change. Well, I tell you what, unless this is dealt with really tough in the next few weeks, I repeat, we're going to be overwhelmed, not just with numbers, but the Conservative Party's popularity. In fact, if this isn't sorted, given the impact it's having on people's lives up and down this country, given the sense of injustice it gives, especially to Brexit voters who thought we were taking back control of our borders, if this isn't sorted, the next government will be Labour, some Lib Dems and the SNP. It matters that much.